My price target's 200 because I see the demand, and I'm making an assumption that the political landscape calms down. But if you get a couple of things going right, it could easily go to 250. There's no supply for this thing. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you something. There's people that need to buy this. There's sovereigns that need to own this, and there's no supply. So what's happening right now is you're getting a little bit of a churn here because of the political volatility and the macro volatility and the lack of foreseeability on rates. You pass the big, beautiful spending bill. You're going to add $3.1 trillion of deficit spending to the U.S. over the next 10 years. That's called print, baby, print. It's not drill, baby, drill. It's print. So how is it possible that Bitcoin's not going to go to 200? So just said differently, 200 is a $4 trillion valuation, market capitalization for something I think is an asset class. That's what, 2 Amazons? Yeah. Bitcoin's going to be worth 2 Amazons when the U.S. government's printing like that. I think it's very cheap. So yeah, I think it's 200.
Scaramucci begins with a direct reminder of our true situation. Bitcoin has an engaged community and makes a lot of headlines, but its actual use is still extremely limited. He says, you believe you are the movement, but the reality is that most people still don't understand how Bitcoin works or why it matters. He notes that the mindset of the older generations who still hold the majority of the world's wealth is the largest barrier, not technology. These are the elderly people and boomers who continue to look up to traditional heavyweights like Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett, 2 of the most well-known doubters of Bitcoin. According to Scaramucci, Bitcoin's next goal is to win them over. The upside is unlike anything we've seen so far if that occurs. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and enable post notifications if you have a strong interest in learning about the future of finance and the function of digital assets like Bitcoin. This will ensure that you never miss anything. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
And I think we have a long way to go here. I think people really still don't understand. Like, you're a Bitcoiner. I go to these Bitcoin conferences, and I try to give the Bitcoin people a newsflash. You're a small group of people. Okay, you think you're the people, and you think everyone's into Bitcoin. No. My generation, my demographic, they still, and I repeat, they still don't understand it. My generation, my demographic is still, followers of Jamie Dimon and followers of Warren Buffett.
Sure, I was going to say,
So just imagine if we can penetrate that group of people. Just imagine if we can open them up to the idea of Bitcoin. Now, Larry, of course, what a great story. 2021, I hate Bitcoin. I'm going to make an investment in Circle. Of course, he's done very well with his Circle investment. And then he pivots. So think about the neuroplasticity that you need. I'm told Bitcoin is rat poison. I'm told it's a decentralized Ponzi scheme. I'm told that it's worthless, and yet it's not, obviously. And yet you have to then get your arms around the network, the brilliance of Satoshi's white paper, the unhackability of Bitcoin. You have to get your arms around the immutability of Bitcoin and all of the technical properties that Bitcoin has that represents pure value exchange between individuals. Because what is it really? It's a decentralized, hardened, fully transparent spreadsheet. That's what it is. Yeah. You're looking at it. I'm looking at it. Most people are still not looking at it. Again, just being totally serious. But when they do look at it, they're like, whoa, this is a storage of value mechanism. It trades 24/7. It can be a hedge. It could be a liquidity deposit for me. It could be, okay, I'm going overnight on these trades. Let me pump several $1 million into Bitcoin. Okay, the weekend is coming. Yeah, maybe we're going to be bombing somebody. Maybe something crazy is going to happen over the weekend, right? Watch Bitcoin over the weekend, because what happens is it's so liquid. If you're a macro trader or you've got other trades on,
exactly, yeah,
Bitcoin may drop over the weekend as you're trying to hedge yourself, or Bitcoin may go up over the weekend as you're trying to take on more. I think Bitcoin still is, in my mind, it's transitioning from a risk asset and a tech asset into a store of value. And so there's a little bit more anti-fragility to that. And I can point to when it happened. When Silicon Valley Bank cratered 2 years ago, Bitcoin popped. Everybody was like, whoa, why is Bitcoin popping? Bitcoin's popping because people realize that the fractional banking system is less sturdy than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of, okay, we torched Bitcoin. We had Gary Gensler. We had Elizabeth Warren. We had Joe Biden. You pick the obstacles that Bitcoin has had. We've had wars. We've had market turmoil. We've had budget fights. And Bitcoin grinds and Bitcoin grinds.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, it's like, I can't remember the name of that law, but the longer it lasts, the more durable it is. There's some kind of
Is that the Lindy effect?
Lindy effect. The Lindy effect.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Yeah, the Lindy effect.
Scaramucci makes a compelling argument about who is in charge. Currently, just a handful of powerful individuals control the financial system, including governments, large enterprises, and important organizations. They control access and the flow of funds. Bitcoin, however, changes that. It creates an even playing field. It restores authority to common people, particularly those who have been excluded, such as the underprivileged and unbanked. Scaramucci cautions that history has shown us what happens if we don't strive toward inclusive systems. Those in power will eventually be overthrown by the masses who have been kept down. Throughout human history, this pattern has recurred. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable post notifications for future Bitcoin, macroeconomic, and digital asset content before we go any further. Now, let's get into his powerful predictions.
But here's the thing I would tell your viewers and listeners. I would say get off of zero, and you're probably off of zero if you're listening to Bitcoin Capital. So add to it.
Yeah.
You got to wake up. Okay, I did something really smart at 18, and that it was very hard to do, but I did it every month. I took a little bit of my money and I bought the U.S. stock market. I read Burton Malkiel's book, Random Walk on Wall Street, and I said, okay, I'm not going to be able to pick the winners and losers. I'm going to buy $100 of the S&P 500 in a mutual fund. They eventually became ETFs, but I'm going to do this. Every day, I'm going to save a little bit of money, and I'm going to do this. And I tell kids today, save a little bit of money and put it into Bitcoin. My price target's 200 because I see the demand, and I'm making an assumption that the political landscape calms down. But if you get a couple of things going right, it could easily go to 250. There's no supply for this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tell you something. There's people that need to buy this. There's sovereigns that need to own this, and there's no supply. So what's happening right now is you're getting a little bit of a churn here because of the political volatility and the macro volatility and the lack of foreseeability on rates. You pass the big, beautiful spending bill. You're going to add $3.1 trillion of deficit spending to the U.S. over the next 10 years. That's called print, baby, print. It's not drill, baby, drill. It's print. So how is it possible that Bitcoin's not going to go to 200? So just said differently, 200 is a $4 trillion valuation, market capitalization for something I think is an asset class. That's what, 2 Amazons?
Yeah.
Bitcoin's going to be worth 2 Amazons when the U.S. government's printing like that. I think it's very cheap. So yeah, I think it's 200. Well, here's the thing I would say to you about everything, and I think you would appreciate this. I have been wrong about so many things in my 36-year career. I am so grateful for Bitcoin. I finally believe I've gotten something super right? Everybody says you need that one mega trade. You need to buy Tesla when Elon is buying it from the guys that he bought it from. You need to be a part of the commercial space industry at day one. You know what I'm loving right now? I got in. I didn't get in as early as the OG people, but for a U.S. institutional investor, I'm 61 years old. I bought my first Bitcoin at age 56. I'm an old fogey. I got there ahead of the other old fogies. Well, it's had an impact because they haven't sold any more Bitcoin like the Biden administration was doing, and so that cuts the supply. I think David Sachs is a brilliant guy. I want to give him credit for a lot of the things that he's doing. He's a very honest broker of these things. But I think David Sachs went to the president and said, we have to make this bipartisan. So if you read the executive order, they're not going to use U.S. dollars to buy it or tax revenues to buy it. They're buying it from different things. Or if they take it off of like a Silk Road transaction, they'll keep it. But I think it's very important because we have 28 things in our reserves right now, including petroleum and gold. We have medical equipment. We have rare earth minerals, all different types of things in our reserve. And every one of those things is nonpartisan. Meaning if, Jesse, you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican, we're not arguing about whether or not we need gold or oil in our reserve. We both know that we do. for some reason, Bitcoin was politically polarized. Primarily, we don't have the time to go into it, but primarily by Warren and Gensler. And so we need to reduce the polarization of it. This is why that stablecoin legislation, I like. It was like, I don't know, 68-33 maybe, was it? I think that's what it was, okay, right? Or 68-30 or something like that on the vote for the stablecoin legislation. And what I would say to you is let's let it become bipartisan. Let's let a couple of election cycles go, and then let's have a Democratic president say, hey, just letting everybody know I've added $100 billion to our Bitcoin reserve to shore up our Bitcoin against our gold positions.
According to Scaramucci, the adoption of Bitcoin is still far from complete. He frequently attends Bitcoin conferences and reminds listeners that, despite their sense of belonging to a vast movement, they are actually still a small bunch. The majority of people still don't grasp Bitcoin, particularly those in his generation. They still have faith in established financial figures like Warren Buffett and Dimon, who are both well-known detractors of Bitcoin. People realize that Bitcoin is a powerful store of value if they eventually take a look at it, according to Scaramucci. It trades around the clock, serves as a hedge, and is liquid enough to be utilized as a fast deposit for big sums of money, particularly on erratic days like weekends when market chaos may result from geopolitical events. According to him, Bitcoin is becoming recognized as a store of value rather than just a dangerous technological asset. He cites Silicon Valley Bank's failure 2 years ago when the price of Bitcoin surged as people realized that the conventional banking system was in fact superior to Bitcoin. Despite all the challenges from regulators like Gary Gensler and politicians like Elizabeth Warren, to wars, market crashes, and budget fights, Bitcoin keeps going. He refers to it as anti-fragile, meaning that its strength increases with its lifespan. Scaramucci explains his own approach to investing. At the age of 18, he started setting aside a little amount of money every month to purchase U.S. stocks through index funds after reading the book A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Now, he encourages people to use Bitcoin in the same way, save money and make consistent investments. He ends with his price prediction. He believes Bitcoin will reach $200,000 per coin. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if you thought his viewpoint was helpful so you don't miss any updates. We'd love to know what you think about the future of cryptocurrency markets, so please share your ideas in the comments section. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the next video.